Breaking tonight after a baffling press conference yesterday in which the president claimed he could not fully weigh in on the VA scandal rocking his administration until an inspector general report is completed. We now know that this president or his top advisors have known about these very problems for a very long time and did shamefully little to make sure they were resolved. Good evening and welcome, everyone, to the Kelly File. I'm Megyn Kelly, and we're going to take you through it. This isn't about another IG report, Inspector General. We've already had 3, as it turns out, 3, all ignored. It isn't about another audit. We've already had one of those, too. It isn't about confirming the existence of these problems. They have all been well documented for years. There's precious little new in the scandal that the administration seems so baffled by this month. What we haven't had is accountability and follow-through. We're going to take you through the timeline. Back to 2008. Right after the presidential election, the Obama transition team is warned they should not trust the patient wait times that are being reported by the VA facilities. This report highlights the systemic problems with scheduling appointments and wait times being forced upon veterans throughout the VA system. It mentions little action was taken to address this problem under the Bush administration. In April of 2010, the problem is still bad enough that the top VA guy sends a memo to all the regional directors of the VA calling for immediate action to review scheduling practices and eliminate gaming of the system to hide long wait times. He goes through some of the very things the Phoenix VA was found guilty of doing or alleged to have done this month alone. This is back in 2010, specifically found that they were having 2 lists, one that was bogus, one that was real. Flash forward to May of 2012, the Senate holds a hearing. The Senate holds a hearing on the problematic long, ridiculously long waits for care at VA facilities. Listen to this witness.
Like many VA medical centers, the overriding objective at our facility, from top management on down, was to meet our numbers, meaning to meet our performance. The goal was to see as many veterans as possible, but not necessarily to provide them the treatment they needed.
Democratic Senator Patty Murray followed up that hearing with a bill, specifically calling for policy changes to address how VA employees were playing games with the wait lists. It passed. President Obama signed it. Seemingly nothing happened. A VA spokesman just said, I never heard about that law. The VA spokesman. 7 months later, another report warning the reported wait times are still unreliable. Do not trust them. January of 2013, House Veterans Affairs Committee Chairman Jeff Miller writes to Secretary Shinseki, please brief us, he says, on the VA's plan to improve medical appointment wait times and scheduling. A couple months later, May of 2013, Chairman Miller this time writes to the president directly and CC's Shinseki about what he calls an alarming pattern of serious issues. He is yelling, help! Just today, 1 year later, Secretary Shinseki issues a statement talking about how allegations of misconduct have just surfaced over the last several weeks, beginning with Phoenix. What? And the president?
When I hear allegations of misconduct, any misconduct, whether it's allegations of VA staff covering up long wait times or cooking the books, I will not stand for it. Not as Commander-in-Chief, but also not as an American.
Jeff Miller is a Florida Republican, and he is the chairman of the House Veterans Affairs Committee. As far as I can see, Chairman Miller, you are among a preciously small group of people who has been jumping up and down over the past years trying to get somebody to pay attention to you over all of the issues that we've been discussing this week. There's precious little new, is there not? This has been ongoing for years.
This has been going on for years, and of course, immediately the Obama administration wants to say this goes all the way back to the Bush administration, and that may be true. But this secretary has been in office now for well over 5 years and has had an opportunity to make a difference, and he hasn't done it, and the agency has continued to grow. The issue of the wait times has been around for a considerable amount of time, but just recently, the deaths have been brought forward, especially in places like South Carolina, Augusta, Georgia, Memphis, Tennessee, where veterans were put on waiting lists and died before they could get the service.
But I saw you write to the president a year ago, May of 2013. I read your letter talking about deaths back then due to wait times, addressing failures in management, failures in leadership, failures in oversight, concluding that some of these issues contributed to a suicide of a veteran patient and the overdose deaths of 2 others. You urged the president to weigh in personally, and you told me earlier this month you received no response. When you see the Commander-in-Chief and General Shinseki come out and act like this is all new to them, and if only they can get the resolution of this latest IG report, then they can finally do something, what is your reaction?
Well, my reaction is, of course, you may wait for the IG report in order to do something with Secretary Shinseki, but this is a systemic problem. It is a life and death issue. The president should have come out and immediately said, I am going to allow any veteran that is on a waiting list to receive the medical care that they have earned to go outside of the VA network and get it on the private market. Look, nobody is saying that the whole system itself doesn't provide quality health care, because it does once you get inside the system, but they have set unrealistic goals, unfortunately, that people have found ways to game around the system, and we're finding some of the most ingenious ways you could have ever imagined, where staff has found ways to hit that 14-day goal so that they look good, not only to the VISN, but up to the regional office and to the central office in Washington as well.
I got to ask you, I know you haven't called for Secretary Shinseki to resign. How can you not? I'm not advocating a position, but how can you not? When I look back at you jumping up and down, raising the red flags, writing to him directly, writing to the president directly, and you outlining veterans' deaths as a result of the failures in this system, how can you not be calling for his resignation?
Well, the thing that I've been calling for a number of years now is transparency and accountability.
But that's not an answer. That's not an answer.
Look, getting rid of Secretary Shinseki is not going to solve the problem. There is a serious systemic problem within the Department of Veterans Affairs. Taking the head of the agency and removing him may be a one-day story, but you still are going to have veterans out there that are not receiving the health care that they have earned.
This is so much worse than it first looked. The Phoenix situation was just the straw that broke the camel's back, but this thing has been around for years, and to your credit, you have been jumping up and down about it. Chairman Miller, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Megyn.